A life interrupted, Amber's story begins. Amber Cavanagh was a woman who knew the rhythm of life's simple joys. A loving mother, a devoted wife, her days were filled with the warmth of family and the comfort of routine. It began with a sudden and unexpected health crisis, two devastating strokes that swept in like a storm, leaving her world teetering on the precipice of forever changed. The strokes robbed Amber of her ability to speak, to move, to even draw a full breath. Her body, once a vessel of vibrant energy, lay still and unresponsive, her life force flickering like a candle in the wind. Fear gripped the hearts of her loved ones as they huddled around her hospital bed, their whispers a symphony of desperate prayers and unspoken fears. Doctors, with their practiced composure, painted a grim picture, their words heavy with the weight of fading hope. Yet even in the face of such despair, a mother's love refused to be extinguished. Unbeknownst to them, Amber was not gone, not entirely. The veil thinning, a brush with the beyond. As Amber drifted in and out of consciousness, her perception of reality began to shift. The sterile white walls of the hospital room faded, replaced by a swirling vortex of colors, a kaleidoscope of light and energy. She felt a strange sensation of movement, as if she were being lifted, carried aloft by an unseen force. Through the haze, she saw the familiar shape of a helicopter, its blades whirring like the wings of a giant dragonfly. She realized, with a strange sense of detachment, that she was inside the helicopter, soaring above the city lights. The world below seemed distant and surreal, as if she were watching a movie unfold on a giant screen. Spread out before her was a vast and luminous expanse, bathed in the soft glow of an ethereal light. Whispered goodbyes and a mother's love. Despite the otherworldly beauty that surrounded her, Amber couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. There was a dull ache in her chest, a longing for something she couldn't quite place. It was then that she became aware of the voices, soft whispers carried on the ethereal breeze. They swirled around her, filled with a mixture of sorrow and acceptance. Straining to make sense of the ethereal murmurs, Amber realized with a jolt that the voices belonged to her family. She could hear her husband's deep baritone, laced with a grief so profound it threatened to swallow him whole. Her children's voices, usually so full of life and laughter, were now choked with sobs, their words barely audible through the veil of tears. She yearned to reach out, to comfort them, to assure them that she was all right, but she couldn't. She was trapped, a prisoner in her own ethereal form. Soaring above, a journey on the wind. The helicopter, now more of a shimmering silhouette against the otherworldly landscape, continued its ascent. Below, the world Amber knew shrunk into insignificance, a tapestry of blues and greens fading into the distance. Fear, which had been a constant companion in those first disorienting moments, began to dissipate, replaced by a curious sense of peace. The pain that had racked her physical body was gone, replaced by a lightness of being she had never known. As the journey continued, Amber became aware of a presence beside her. Turning her head, she saw a figure of pure light, its form shifting and changing like flames dancing in the wind. Instinctively, Amber knew that this being was a guide, a celestial companion sent to accompany her on this unexpected journey to the unknown. Section 5. The Garden of Souls, where time stands still. The helicopter, its purpose served, dissolved into motes of light, depositing Amber at the edge of a breathtaking garden. Flowers of every imaginable color and variety bloomed in vibrant profusion, their petals unfurling in slow, graceful movements. The air hummed with the gentle drone of bees, their wings brushing against the blossoms in a symphony of life. A crystal-clear stream meandered through the garden, its waters sparkling like liquid diamonds. Time seemed to flow differently here, its passage marked not by the ticking of clocks, but by the slow unfurling of petals and the gentle sway of trees in the breeze. As Amber wandered through this paradise, she felt a sense of profound peace settle over her. The garden was a sanctuary, a place of healing and renewal, where souls could find solace and rejuvenation. Section 6. Celestial Guides, Whispers of Unconditional Love. Amber was not alone in this ethereal garden. Her guide, the being of pure light, remained by her side, a comforting presence in this unfamiliar landscape. As they walked, the guide answered Amber's unspoken questions, her voice a gentle murmur that resonated deep within Amber's soul. "This," the guide replied, her voice like the tinkling of wind chimes, is a place of transition, a way station for souls on their journey beyond the physical realm. Here you will find peace, healing, and the opportunity to reflect on your life. Each being exuded an aura of unconditional love and acceptance, their presence both calming and exhilarating. Amber found herself drawn to their light like a moth to a flame. Section 7. A choice to make, heaven's sweet embrace or earthly ties. The longer Amber spent in the ethereal garden, the more she felt her earthly worries and concerns fading away. She felt a sense of peace and contentment she had never known before, a deep and abiding joy that permeated her very being. Yet even in this state of blissful serenity, a part of Amber yearned for home. She missed the warmth of her husband's embrace, the sound of her children's laughter, the simple joys of life on earth. One day, as she strolled through the garden with her guide, Amber came to a fork in the path. One path led deeper into the garden, towards a distant light that pulsed with an irresistible energy. The other path wound its way back towards the edge of the garden, towards a shimmering portal that seemed to hum with the energy of the earthly realm. Section 8. Witnessing grief, a mother's heart aches from afar. The weight of the decision pressed down on Amber, heavy and inescapable. Part of her longed to step through the portal, to return to the familiar comforts of her earthly life. But the thought of leaving this paradise, this haven of peace and unconditional love, filled her with a profound sense of loss. As if sensing her turmoil, the guide led Amber to a quiet corner of the garden, where a small, still pool of water reflected the azure sky like a mirror. Gazing into its depths, Amber saw not her own reflection, but a vision of her family back on Earth. They were gathered in her hospital room, their faces etched with grief and despair. Amber's heart ached at the sight of their pain. Section 9. Reaching through the void, love's unbreakable bond. With a newfound clarity, Amber turned to her guide. "I choose to return," she said, her voice filled with both sorrow and determination. "My family needs me." The guide nodded, a serene smile gracing her ethereal features. "As you wish," she replied. "But know this, the love that binds you to your family is stronger than death itself. You are never truly alone, for they carry you in their hearts, just as you carry them in yours." Section 10. A second chance. Awakening into a new dawn. The journey back to the earthly realm was a blur. One moment, Amber was standing in the ethereal garden, surrounded by her loved ones. The next, she was lying in her hospital bed, the familiar scent of antiseptic filling her nostrils. She could hear the steady beep of the heart monitor, the hushed whispers of the nurses as they moved about the room. As her senses returned, Amber became aware of a dull ache in her head, a throbbing pain that pulsed in time with her heartbeat. She tried to open her eyes, but her eyelids felt heavy, as if they were weighted down with lead. Groaning softly, she shifted slightly in the bed, and a wave of nausea washed over her. "She's awake!" a voice exclaimed, and suddenly the room was filled with a flurry of activity. Section 11. Life after heaven, embracing every moment. Amber's recovery was nothing short of miraculous. The doctors were baffled, unable to explain how a woman who had been so close to death could make such a complete and unexpected recovery. But for Amber, the explanation was simple. She had been given a second chance, a precious gift that she was determined to honor by living each day to the fullest. Her experience had changed her profoundly, altering her perspective on life and death in ways she never could have imagined. She no longer feared death, for she had glimpsed the beauty that lay beyond the veil. Instead, she embraced life with a newfound appreciation, savoring each moment as a precious gift. Amber returned to her family, her heart overflowing with love